Lois, remember that time that Moodahawk guy came to our house?
You know, ladies and gentlemen, I don't often talk about Family Guy unless there's something biblical that happens. What if I told you a piece of that original Family Guy pilot episode ended up getting found? Now, Family Guy has a pretty special place in my heart. There used to be a time when I was single and definitely not ready to mingle, and I came home from work, and usually I'd come home from work around like 8:30. I would just film my video for the next day, or the next couple days, and then I would just have it ready to edit, and usually I would spend the rest of the night with Family Guy on the second monitor and some good old Metal Gear Solid 5 on the main monitor. And that's pretty much how I would do it. Sometimes, occasionally, I'd have a box of old Smarties sitting next to me. If that sounds depressing, it wasn't. Because Family Guy is a fun show. It's a show that I've been watching when I was a kid, silently, before my parents figured out, whoa, that's a little too mature for you, buddy. And when I became of age, obviously I binged the hell out of it. Now, I would recommend Family Guy from season 1 to probably all the way up to 10, maybe a little bit more than that. I don't really watch a lot of recent Family Guy. I just don't really feel like it vibes with me all that well. You know, it's kind of like watching The Simpsons, right? There's like a certain amount of seasons that are good, and then after a while, it's like, all right, little doggy, let's take you out to a sunset. So, literally yesterday, I saw that Blame It on Jorge actually did, make a post about this. He actually, shared an entire video of the unaired pilot that was believed to be lost for about, literally, 27 years at this point? So to give you guys the history of it, right, this pilot episode, there was actually a portion of it that existed, but to give you full ideas, the pilot episode of Family Guy has the main character, Peter Griffin, basically losing his job due to gross negligence at the toy factory, where a bunch of toys get into the dangerous products get into the hands of children. So he gets fired, and then eventually he applies for welfare. Now, Peter, being the intellectual bastion that he is, notices that, the government is sending you checks of $150,000 US a week instead of $150. Now, Peter decides to spend this money like crazy, to the point where he's getting breast implants for Chris, obviously not inserted in that case. He's got collagen injections for his daughter Meg. He's buying 8,000 chicken fajitas, builds a moat around his house, and eventually his wife finds out, Lois, and she's not exactly happy that her husband is committing welfare fraud. Now, obviously, at this moment in time, Lois is not the adversary, the Internal Revenue Service is. So Peter eventually gets, audited by the IRS, he tries to give back this money, and he's facing some serious jail time. Until his son, Stewie, uses his mind control device to at least convert the brain of the judge to say, hey, let my dad go free. Now, if that sounds like a dumb plot, remember, Family Guy is just a comedic animated show that's really focused on its cutaway gags for the most part. I mean, there is an overarching story, but it's pretty much what it comes down to. Now, back in 98, 99, this was kind of promoted a little bit, and the lost media was actually seen around this time, the original pilot episode. So, for instance, back in 98, this ad, I cannot believe I'm seeing a Gateway ad, dude. Did you ever have a Gateway Forever upgrade PC? Get out of here, dude. But yeah, anyways, this was a full promo. You got to see Peter Griffin ordering his chicken fajitas. You got to see Lois, basically just talking on the phone. You saw Stewie. And again, this is in their original, actual characters, right? This is their original actual, clothing. Until you get to 16 seconds into this premiere, and you start to notice that, oh my god, the color palettes have changed. Lois is now a blonde, and Meg has a blue beanie. I mean, one of the reasons why I made creepy pastas and haunted gaming and things like that was because of my fascination with lost media, especially in the worlds of video gaming. So obviously looking at snippets of a TV show that I watch like this appear is something that obviously me and plenty of Family Guy nutters are definitely interested in. Now, if the animation quality looked a little bit off to you, remember it's a pilot episode, and at the time, apparently Fox ended up giving a pretty small budget to the show, around 50 to 60 grand from what I've read. And, generally, if you look at animated pictures, they're well above that, okay? For 50, 60 grand, it sounds like a lot, but when you're animating a pilot episode of a TV show, it can be pretty bad, okay? It can be a pretty small budget that you have to spread thin to work with. Now, for a brief moment, some of this pilot could be viewed in the Family Guy Volume 2 DVD You could buy this thing out and like actually like watch portions of this episode like in its entirety, portions of it, not the whole thing. And of course, if you look at the reviews, I just like to show you the Amazon reviews because I swear I play a game of Is This ChatGPT every time. Michael writes, fast delivery, exactly as described. I would hope so. I love Family Guy. Me too. Super. Cheeky humor, definitely not a show for kids, but it's awesome for adults. What's better than to relax watching a funny no-brainer? That's literally me. Now, post the 7 minutes that everyone has seen of this pilot, again, only screenshots had really existed on, again, like fan websites. So this is back in the days of like Angel Fire and like Tripod. So eventually, how was this found? Well, one of the actual users on the old Lost Media Wiki, all right, great website, by the way. I've actually used it before to talk about things. Of course, one user, Ghost the Dead Girl, finds that in the IMDb page, one person, who is apparently known as Bob Paulson, who is the uncredited digital ink and paint artist, well, if you go to that person's real website, surprisingly speaking, it's just posted here. Motion graphics and animation. You'll scroll down, you'll see everything normal until, whoa, Lois, what's that? A Family Guy pilot episode right here? That's fucking insane, okay? That's wild. You know how much like lost media that you can actually find where like literally somebody is at their computer, they're like, yeah, I just have this file that I guess some people would be interested in. Let me just throw it up on my like website somewhere. Dude, I feel like, you know, it's kind of similar to even some GTA mods that I've been playing around with. Like, I remember when I played Terminator on GTA, I download things off the internet. Probably like 8-9 years ago. Like I've just had things sitting in a hard drive somewhere, and occasionally I'll like go back, audit my stuff, and look through, and I'll find like a game that probably doesn't exist because I downloaded it off like an old defunct 4chan thread or like one obscure website from like the internet of yesteryears. And that's really how I think most lost media is done. I really feel like now that we have the Family Guy pilot episode, fingers crossed, hopefully somebody can claim the bounty of that Jeff the Killer photo that I'm trying to hunt down, okay? But that being said, that's a different story for a different time. Let's actually look at this together. Now, entirely on YouTube, uploaded by the channel Gooby, this is posted Family Guy Lost Pilot full version, a whole 16 minutes that you can watch right now on YouTube. Now, it's got 635,000 views because all the Family Guy nutters are here. But just to give you a fair warning, you might want to watch this before Fox may end up taking this down, just because I'm pretty sure there's no statute of limitations on the copyright here. So I watched this with my significant other. I watched this with her last night because we're both Family Guy people. One of our favorite memes is the Family Guy analog horror, like Lois, the horse is here, we are doomed. That is our favorite shit. We like Family Guy. So we watched this whole pilot, and for the most part, the whole 16 minutes is effectively just the first Death Has a Shadow episode. I mean, you got the same plot points, you've got the same sort of jokes. There are some key differences. Towards the tail end of the episode, the whole section of Peter giving back money didn't happen at a giant stadium where a Fox game was being played. It just happened out in the open, and a cop interjected. Some of the jokes, in my personal opinion, didn't hit as hard, and some of the voice acting was genuinely questionable, okay? And because of the low budget, it really made it feel like Seth MacFarlane overextended himself. Like, listen to some of the Chris lines here.
Bacon's great, Mom. Where's the orange juice?
Over there by the crotch.
That's cool that Dad slept in the kitchen.
I don't know what Seth's trying to do. You don't have that high-pitched Chris voiceover here. And Chris's character is obviously a little bit different too. Like, Chris just talks about getting wasted and like basically being that pothead stoner kid.
And I still didn't win.
Hey, Dad, you ever think of welfare? That's like free money, you know.
Chris, that's it. I'll go on welfare.
You know, he's actually a lot smarter in this version too. The old Chris couldn't figure out how to tie his shoes or figure out how to like chew food properly. This might actually be a more developed character. Hold on, give him more time to cook.
Oh, now that wasn't hard at all.
What's your weekly stipend?
Let me see, $150.
Wait, that's not a decimal, that's a comma. Hey, move your thumb, Dad.
Now, this line would have been spoken by Meg, from my understanding, from the actual show, but here it's different. Chris's character is different, but in the later parts of the actual, like, Lost episode, you can actually see that there are, in fact, like, differences in the color palette for the characters. Like, Lois is a blonde, Meg has her blue beanie, and this is, like, unearthed stuff. This is not seen before. So, again, if you're a Family Guy fan, or you want to just watch the pilot again, this might be worth looking up. Now, it's not just Chris's voice acting you have to find a little bit of weirdness in. Mr. Weed is also a weird actor too. I mean, I want you to listen to this clip right here. This is what Mr. Weed would have sounded if it hadn't been for a higher budget.
Peter, are you sleeping on the job?
What the... Oh, hi, Mr. Weed.
Peter, it's your job to watch for any toy products that might be harmful to children. Now look sharp.
It's like you leveled it out or something, dude. Crazy shit. Now, in the original version, like, Mr. Weed was pretty much a gay dude, and I believe they took all of that out. In fact, in this episode, Peter's friend Quagmire doesn't really appear in the show at all in the pilot. In fact, his actual, like, appearances are replaced by a totally different character that would have just been a background character in the actual show. So you can hear it right over here, too. In one of the scenes in the original pilot, Peter would throw Michelangelo's, like, penis through the actual, like, window. I can't believe I'm saying some of this stuff, man. My life is weird. But he throws his penis through a window, and instead of Mr. Weed reacting, it's this guy.
Get into the car.
Well, that's a bad part anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
Shoot, these things are lucky.
But you can hear that that's actually Quagmire's voice, dude. It's like watching the first season of, like, South Park and seeing, like, 3 different people attempt, like, Butters' dad's character, okay? Like, before they actually defined it to be an actual character, they were just kind of, like, playing around because it wasn't that important at the time. And obviously, this is kind of, like, par for the course for a lot of pilot episodes. You kind of are in that growth phase where you're figuring out who's what. Nothing is really ever defined, especially in a show like Family Guy that's not supposed to be like an overly serialized show, like something huge or like a drama, for instance, right? Or like any thriller type of show. Now, if you're looking at the animation quality being a little bit off, I believe my wife said it the best way last night. She's like, it somehow feels like the South Park parody version of like Family Guy when they were having their like 2-parter Family Guy episode. It feels kind of like that inside this, okay? It feels deliberately like lower budget almost in a way too. And it's almost endearing from like an animation perspective. Some even say that this is a cleaner presentation of the show. But ultimately, that's really all that has to be discussed about the Family Guy pilot. It was just found pretty much out of nowhere on Robert Paulson's website, so you can watch it entirely here or on YouTube. It's really up to you to choose. And again, I would recommend if you're a Family Guy person, probably should watch this before Fox starts sending out John Wick to nuke the internet of this meme. But I don't really think Fox will, considering the fact this episode is so old. I don't know. I just don't think they would ever do it. But then again, it is Family Guy. It's one of their biggest IPs. So who really knows? I would just say watch it, Lois, before it all goes away. Now, Family Guy is one of those things where, like, this isn't the only piece of lost media. I think it's fair enough to also talk about the lost Family Guy video games as well, too. One of the things that I hate so much about the fact that The Simpsons is like the more revered show is the fact that Simpsons has the Hit and Run, which is a super fun game, and then Family Guy doesn't even have anything open world related. I would nut if like literally they would make a Family Guy open world game with today's technologies, just like a standard PS2, Xbox 360 fare. Dude, you could even lower price this game. I would even pay full price for an honest Family Guy open world like little video game where I could just drive around Quahog and mind my own business. Unfortunately, we don't really have that. We're long past the days of animated show video games at this point, which is kind of a sad thing to be at. But there were other Family Guy games too. Like, for instance, one of the things that I saw was Family Guy Road to Death. There were actual like gameplay pieces posted by a channel known as iSpeed on the 405. Yeah, I do too, buddy. And then you know what? When you watch this kind of stuff, you see that it eventually bled into the Road to the Multiverse video game, which I think is the last time a Family Guy video game has really come out. But one of the things that I found really, really cool is Family Guy actually at one point had an entire MMO. Now, the reason I know about the Family Guy MMO is that I've actually played it like once or twice back in the day. In fact, like the only thing that exists about it is like this one gameplay footage from MMO Hut, where you could literally pick your class or character and like the actual game would just be this Unity 3D release. It would be like the closest thing to that Family Guy open world shit that I'm talking about. And mind you, it would just be a place where you could explore actual Quahog, Spooner Street, for instance, right over here. Now you might be like, why did a Family Guy MMO get taken down, Muda? Well, it's probably because only 3 people, including myself, actually ever logged into this, to the point where this thing died within like a year of its actual release. Now, about 3 years ago on GitHub, the Family Guy Online, like, actual repo was made, where all of that original asset from that game was actually preserved, right? This contains the models, the textures, the pre-recorded and unreleased sound effects, stock effects, 2D textures, game UI icons, map textures, and limited client-side data including Unity. Now, given the fact that this game probably wasn't honestly all that great, I'm still somewhat shocked that nobody has decided to take these assets and maybe at some point try to bring back a private server of Family Guy Online. To be honest, I'm already putting up a bounty for something like for the Jeff the Killer. I think I should probably put together a bounty and like maybe get this thing made, all right? I know that it probably will get cease and desisted, but I actually want to bring back Family Guy Online in some capacity. I want to play it longer than the tutorial that I experience and actually see this MMO all the way through. There's a surprising amount of lost media for a game like this, for a franchise like this. And it's just a shame that Family Guy has all this and American Dad has so little, when if you really want to get into it, that show deserves more of the actual love right there. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Family Guy's lost pilot was discovered after like literally 28 years of existing. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in watching some of Family Guy's original Death Has a Shadow, that original pilot, well, it's completely available. And hopefully at some point this year in 2025, I can at least hopefully look forward to Jeff the Killer finally showing up in my feed as the original image. And I can pay out that bounty and we can close that chapter. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.